Take a look at chapter 1. Because as leaders, if you're really going to develop who you are, what you do, you have got to think in terms of multiplication. So that it says RTDMM. You've got to recruit, train, develop, monitor, nurture. Now let's think about what we're recruiting though. Here's the biggest mistake. If you leave recruiting to HR, then you're going to have what you have today in the business world. What do you have? Everybody has a job, is looking for a job, and the people who don't have a job are looking for a job. Because they're not happy with what they're doing or where they are. And part of it has to do with this. Because we've left it up to HR professionals, and I'm sorry if you're an HR professional here, learn something maybe. Okay, I'll challenge you day in and day out on this concept. But because HR professionals are the ones picking the positions, and they're the ones, and you have people who are 30, who maybe are making $25,000 a year, hiring people who are making $250,000 a year, and vetting them through a process. Or making $100,000 a year, or making $60,000, or making $80,000 a year. And you have HR professionals who are making these decisions. No, let me back up a little bit. What if you did this? If you're a small business owner, you have maybe 5 to 15 employees, how about recruiting people who are like you? Think about the multiplication factor. If you have people who have your personality, who love what you love, who have a passion for what you're doing, they're going to stick around. Because they're going to like you, and they're going to like what you're doing. It's simple, but it's like when you're a coach in baseball, why would you put a shortstop and put him in right field? And when I was in sports, in baseball, I led the nation in steals for 2 years in a row. I was a leadoff batter, and I batted. I'm in the record books and all that good stuff, but I was a shortstop. And you know what the scouts said was, why is this guy playing shortstop when he's so fast? Put him in center field. Let him run. Smart guys. They figured it out, how to put a guy in the best position possible. Yeah, you put me at shortstop. I always play short because I had the best glove. I played the best, I grabbed ground balls, and that's how it worked. But my best position was center field. But I didn't get to play there until late in college, my college career. When the pro scouts got interested. Because they figured out, this guy can run. He runs like the wind. Let him go. Just get him out there. And here's the deal. And what I'm mirroring here is that you ought to look in the mirror, look at who you are, look at what you're all about, and then find people like you. Find people like you. If you're in a small organization, find people like you. You can't make a mistake with a hire. If you got an organization of 5 to 15, you can make a mistake of 10,000 employees. You can make a lot of mistakes with 10,000 employees. But you can't make a mistake if you're a business owner by yourself and you're hiring your first or second or third or fourth or fifth people. So don't hire based on what you want to delegate. That's the biggest mistake. I've got these tasks, I'm tired of doing them, let me find somebody to do it. I'll get an administrative assistant who can help me do these things. No. Find somebody like you that has your passion for your vision, for your product, for your company, for what you're all about, and find somebody that can fill some skill sets that you need, but more importantly, skill sets that you can develop. Because you can find talented individuals who may not necessarily know how to sell, but they can become great salespeople. Because you develop them. You recruit and you train. Training, as Robert pointed out earlier, is so important to the success of your business. But you know what? It's not doing what the HR people do. Here's what HR does. They develop a training manual. I got a training manual in my former company that was this thick, and I laughed. And I never read it. I said, don't give me this. You know what I did? I went one-on-one with the top 5 salespeople in that company, and I sat down with them for lunch. I said, how do you sell this thing? And they gave me everything I needed. Boom, 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 boom. Here's what you do. And they told me everything to do. That was training. They were imparting revelation to me. They were imparting understanding to me. They were imparting to me what I needed to be successful. That's impartation. That's true training. Not regurgitating knowledge. Regurgitation of knowledge is useless. It goes in and goes out in seconds. They're not going to learn that way. You put a manual in front of them, what are they going to do with that? They're going to do what I did. If they're smart, they're going to say, you know what? What's this? Jamie, how do you sell this? Bob, how do you sell this? Robert, how do you sell this? Brian, how do you sell this? and they just one by one. Chris Zabel, another guy. How do you sell this? Show me how to sell it. So these are things that you do. That's true training. Recruit, train, develop. Developing is the longest season when it comes to true development. Development takes time. You've got to go on these walks. You take a person out to coffee. You take them out to lunch. You go for a walk. Hey, let's go for a walk. I just got to talk to you about the business. Let me help you. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. Tell me about what your position is. Tell me what you're doing in your position. What are some of the obstacles you're facing? What are some of the things that are going on, right or wrong? How do I help you be successful? You know what CEOs like to do? They're more interested in an HR documentation of what you did wrong instead of developing you. My dad was an IBMer for 33 years. One of the most successful. In fact, he was the highest ranking minority in the company when he retired in 1986, when it meant something. And my dad tells me the story about what happened when the CEO found out that the second in command had cost him $680,000. And they said to him, are you going to fire him? And his answer was profound. It's the difference between 20th century and 21st century. His answer was this: why would I fire someone that I just invested $680,000 to train them? Why would I do that? And he and that individual went through a training process, so that mistake would never happen again. And instead, there would be a very positive outcome. And of course, IBM has had a very positive outcome in the 80s and 90s. To me, that's called true development. Recruit, train, develop. Monitor. Number 4. If you're going to monitor, do it without your authority strings over them. See, it has to come a point in time where you have to just let go. If you're a CEO and you're watching this by video, let me tell you something. If you can at least understand this principle, that monitoring involves letting people make mistakes whom you want to take over for your department or for your organization. Think about your department. If you're in IT, who are you developing right now to take your place? If you're in marketing, who are you developing to be the chief marketing officer? If you're in sales and the vice president of sales, who are you developing to become the vice president of sales? See, we're so protective of our territory that we don't even think about that. The whole idea of developing who is going to take our place is not even a thought process in many organizations today, and because of it, when you get musical chairs and people leave, you're left with a hole. Now you got to retrain and start all over again. What are you so afraid of if they fired you, but you happen to have trained really well somebody who can take over and do a fantastic job? There's always saying you reap what you sow. If you sow imparting into folks, you're going to reap another job down the road. It just happens that way. So why be afraid to multiply yourself? You should be thinking right now in terms of who is my replacement and how can I impart to that individual what I have and know so that they can be one of the best. Because quite frankly, you know what? When you leave that organization, you've developed a best friend there. And you'll have that relationship for the rest of your career, even though there may even be in a competing company. But because people don't want to take the time, because we make the excuse that we're out of time, we don't want to take the time because it takes time to actually develop somebody, to go for those walks, to have that lunch, to let me share with you my knowledge. Let me tell you what you should be doing if you're an IT guy and you're overseeing a city. Here's what you should be doing. Let me tell you what I'm doing over the last 8 years so that I've been successful. Let me tell you why I've been successful. And let me share with you how I can develop you to take my place. Because one day, I'm going to be gone. And I want this thing to move forward and not backward. Now, people don't care about their companies that way. People don't care about their jobs that way. People only care about how much money am I making, and I can't wait to get the heck out of here because I hate my job. And that's not the good attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude in life, and I believe that if you have a great attitude, then your attitude is what's going to determine your success later in life when you leave that position. Recruit, train, develop, monitor, nurture. Nurturing to me is about encouragement. I am blessed and honored, and I've got 30 seconds to wrap this up, and I want to wrap it up this way. I am blessed and honored to have my wife, my sister, and my cousin here in attendance today. They are to me encouragement, and I love them, and I love them for being here. And I tell you, and not only that, but I also have my best friend's wife, Carolyn, and I have one of our folks that my wife and I mentor, that's Reese here. Because my wife and I believe in mentoring. That's what I've been doing for 35 years. We just do it at all these different levels. And because of it, I've had a very, 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 very rich life. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of life are you going to lead? And if it's as a leader, if you want to, in chapter 1, I'm really going to challenge you in chapter 1. I'm going to challenge you to stop leading by position and start leading by personal development and find your replacement now so that you can multiply your business in the future.